at the moment, yeah, because it is partly a product, of military, successive military regimes and all of that, But then, of course, it is just like a broken down vehicle, right? Yeah, you can't say that. I mean, you're not going to use. I mean, if you have a vehicle that is broken down and it is the only one that you have, you can't say I'm not going to use it because it's broken down, especially because you don't have, an alternative to it. If it's the only one that you have, no matter how broken it might be, it's still what you have, right? Like the HAUSA person will say, "Guntunga tarinka yapi sarikabani." That is the issue. What you have is what you have, and you just make do with it.
That's what is yours.
That is what is yours, and so he's actually saying that the Nigerian constitution, despite what people will call, its military-oriented nature and what have you, is still what we have at the moment, and we must respect it, right? This is the issue. And so you can see, like I did say, there have been conflicting opinions on, the validity or otherwise of the Nigerian, 1999 constitution. But could be on the whole, I do feel that I will agree with, both opinions, right?
In some ways.
There might be some need for us to, because at some point in time, I do recall that the National Assembly attempted to actually do a review, of the 1999 Constitution, right? And reviewing the Constitution means that another look is going to be taken at what we now have as the 1999 Constitution, see, where we actually need to make adjustments, see what part of the Constitution we need to adopt, see what part we need to expunge, see what we need to introduce new and things like that. I think there is actually a need for that, although that will not actually be, it will be quite a Herculean task, because changing a constitution or reviewing a constitution is not normally, a walk through the park. It's normally not an easy job, right? Because it will then mean that, all the national assemblies or all members of the national assemblies will, throughout the country will have to actually, liaise or interface with their constituents, right? To get their, the views, to get their inputs, to actually get to know what their wishes and aspirations or preferences are as far as, the new, a document is concerned, you understand, and all of that, and then come back, to their respective, chambers, and then, actually vote on those issues and all of that. And of course, each, the 2/3 of, all members of each state assembly actually has to vote in favor, of the review and things like that. These are the issues. So of course it's not really going to be, an easy task and all of that. And of course, those who feel that at the moment the 1999 Constitution is what we have and should continue to respect it, I think they are also right? Because at the moment the review hasn't been done yet. And of course I do agree that in fact there are issues that need to be, because at the end of the day, could be like I have maintained, the Constitution is a product, of human beings, isn't it? It's a human product, isn't it? It's not really like some, Quran or a Bible that, that is infallible. You understand? That is not what it is. It's the product of, of human beings. And so, like Kanu Agabi himself actually admitted, it is not meant to be perfect. It can never be perfect, could be. And you can see, even here and elsewhere, sometimes issues come up and then, we realize that even the law doesn't seem quite clear on some of those issues. This is what, the Constitution usually will always be, you understand, as long as it continues to remain, or as long as it is actually the product of, human intellect and things like that, it will continue to have shortcomings and things like that. But of course, I think at the end of the day, that is why we are a human community. Anytime we feel there is a need to make certain adjustments, in what we consider, our operational manual as a people, we can then go back to the drawing board and say, what are the issues and what do we need to introduce new, what do we need to take out and things like
considering
contemporary challenges, new developments on the social political landscapes and things like that. This is the issue. At some point in time we talked about, the legality or otherwise of using, for example, the presidential jet by either a son or daughter of the president. And then we established here, and even lawyers themselves actually who shared opinions on the issue actually also admitted that the law is not categorically clear on such issues. You understand, and things like that. So there are always issues on which the law will always not really be as clear as we will ordinarily want, but then it poses, you know, a new challenge, right? If you know, at some point in time we feel there are issues that need to be accommodated, and then there's a need to go back to the drawing board and consider a review of, you know, the constitution and things like that. We just might have to do that. You know, this is the issue. At the moment could be there are a lot of contentious issues that Nigerians feel should actually be, you know, taken a look at. For example, you know, the indigenous settler dichotomy, and you and I know, you know, I mean, how
this has been an issue.
Yeah, it's been a contentious issue. You know, Nigerians who were born in certain places, who have lived all their lives in certain places, have not actually been treated, you know, as equals, simply on grounds of so-called, you know, indigeneity and things like that. And these are things that have continued to actually, you know, take us aback as far as, you know. So these are the issues. There are people who are talking about issues of state police, whether it should actually be constitutionalized, whether it should be legalized and things like that. There are people who are talking about even issues of fiscal federalism, you know how, you know, resources are supposed to be shared among, the tiers of government, among, the 36 states of the federation and things like that. Issues of local government autonomy, issues of judicial autonomy, all of these issues are there that actually, you know, need to be looked at. And so I feel, yeah, at the moment, like Kanu Agabi himself has admitted, we must obey and respect our constitution because it is what we have. And you just imagine a life without the constitution could be. Even in your house as the head of a family,
yes, there's some rules.
I mean, there is a system of do's and don'ts. There are things that are simply not acceptable. There are things that are actually acceptable.
And every member of the family is expected
this is the issue. Even though I'm aware, I do know that nobody sits down and writes a document in their houses and say, yeah, this is our operational manual. This is a working document for this family and things like that. But as a matter of convention, right? You know, everyone knows that, look, daddy will not tolerate this, mommy will not tolerate that. This is the issue. And so I think it is something that humanity cannot actually do without. That is why we have the Quran, you have the Bible, and you have even atheists also have some operational documents that they work with and things like that. So I think at the moment the 1999 constitution is what we have. There's a need to go back to the drawing board and maybe introduce some things and then take out some things. You know, that might just be something for another day, another time, another year, another, you know, dispensation. But at the moment, we must actually respect what we have.
Yes, 1999 Constitution at the moment is what we have. And we are not saying that there is anything wrong or categorically or that there is not, time for any of such if the need arise. But of course also the provisions as we have in the Constitution as it is, if followed judiciously, meticulously, I am sure as a country we would have developed more than
we'll be better for it. Surely we'll be the better for it.
So the problem is not really about the Constitution at the moment. It's probably the commitment to having to do things based on the provisions of the Constitution.
Thank you very much.
If it's about corruptions, we have sections and chapters of the Constitution that address how to deal with people who are found guilty of some certain corruptions, and things like that. But then, have we seen, justice, prevailing over all these things? Have we seen people being penalized? Have we seen all these things? So even if the Constitution will be reviewed today, you still have people who would again and again not be committed to live according to the provisions of the Constitution.
I love that addendum, could be. You see, that is intelligent. I mean, like you rightly mentioned, and I think you are simply speaking. I mean, you're simply saying exactly what Kanu Agabi himself said yesterday. He did say that the Constitution is not self-enforcing. It takes good people to actually respect a Constitution. At the end of the day, no matter how beautiful the Constitution is, if the people who are supposed to benefit from it are not willing to obey it, at the end of the day, it will simply be lifeless and useless and inconsequential. This is the issue. And so, even in developed climes, sometimes we see situations where there are things that, are not necessarily written, in the Constitution, but those things seem to have come to stay as some sort of convention, and people automatically just do those things and things like that. So it takes good people to actually have a working Constitution. And so if we are not willing to obey, then the Constitution should simply not even exist.
Yes, of course. And so at this point, let's just go straight to have on this one. This one says Supreme Court grills Atiku's lawyers over CSU documents. And this issue is still coming up again and again. And now the Supreme Court also, you see this issue is coming back there. And let's see what happens. And Doro, I'll just give it to you. So
what could be, the issue between Atiku Abubakar and President Bola Tinubu over his, certificate and things like that have continued to drag on. I don't know when this is going to end. Of course, yesterday, the Supreme Court actually heard, the submissions of both parties, both Tinubu and Atiku's parties, and then decided to reserve judgment, to a later date and things like that. So it remains to be seen what, the Supreme Court will eventually decide as far as this issue is concerned. But of course, what are the issues that Atiku is challenging? Everyone knows the issues, right? Atiku is saying that the document presented to, INEC by Tinubu, are not actually real. They are fake and things like that. And then again, he has been contending that there are discrepancies on the certificates or the documents presented to INEC by Atiku and things like that. And then, of course, the issue of whether, the FCT should, the issue of whether a presidential candidate must actually win 25% of votes in the FCT, and whether, of course, the INEC, the electoral umpire, actually should transmit, election results electronically and things like that, are some of the, the bonds of contention as far as Atiku's, case is actually concerned. But of course, like we did, examine in the past, the Constitution is clear on these issues. The Constitution says, the FCT cannot be treated, differently from other states of the Federation. In the eyes of the law, the FCT is just like another state, of the Federation. And so, you don't necessarily have to score 25% of votes in the FCT before you can actually win, a presidential election, as long as you have actually won in majority of states across the country and things like that. And then the issue of transmission of results electronically, of course, we also, based on the things we've been able to stumble on, and based on the legal opinions we've been able to assess, the INEC is at liberty to decide whatever method it wishes to adopt to, transmit election results and things like that. But of course, like they say, the law is an ass. It remains to be seen what eventually happens. But I am aware that what Atiku is trying to do now is to introduce fresh, evidences to the Supreme Court. This is the issue. And of course, what I do understand is that it's going to be quite difficult for him to be able to do that, because even yesterday, when he was presenting, his case, through his lawyer, Chris Uche, Justice John Okoro actually asked, asked Atiku through his lawyer, son, Uche Chris, whether it was actually possible for him to actually introduce, fresh evidences, because these are things that were not even there, in the court of first instance. And so, why introduce, some fresh items at the moment? You are like, taking, like Barrister Sam Talks will always say, the law does not actually, entertain, or condone a situation where the court will be taken unawares. So if you're introducing some fresh evidences and things like that, which were not, part of your argument in the first instance, it's like you're trying to, surprise the court, and that is something that the court will not actually take lightly. This is the issue. Now, some of the observations made by the judges yesterday, as far as Atiku's case, is concerned, and which actually even makes it the more difficult, are these. Number one, Justice John Okoro, and Justice Emmanuel Agim actually observed that the deposition, which Atiku is trying to present to the Supreme Court was actually made, by Atiku's lawyers in the United States. You understand? Now, a deposition that was not made in Nigeria, that was not made in one of the Commonwealth states, because of course Nigeria is a Commonwealth nation, right? And the legal system in America is different from what obtains in Nigeria and in other Commonwealth nations. You understand? This is the issue. So, as far as Nigerian law is concerned, a deposition made in the United States, which is not a Commonwealth country, cannot actually be accepted in a Commonwealth country and things like that. This is the issue. And then number two, again, according to Justice John Okoro and, of course, Emmanuel again, the deposition, which Atiku is trying to present to the Supreme Court, is not the product of, a court process. You understand? It is not the product of a court process. You cannot actually bring something that actually was not determined, or that actually did not emanate from, court proceedings, and then expect the court to be able to actually accept that. This is the issue. And then, of course, one of the arguments of the judges is that the lawyer who administered the oath on Atiku's lawyer actually lacks the legal authority to actually do so. This is the issue. And then finally, of course, the court also established that at the moment it is actually in receipt of two conflicting documents as far as the allegation of forgery on the part of Atiku is concerned. In other words, there are two different documents before the Supreme Court now as far as Atiku's allegation of certificate forgery by Tinubu is concerned. And so the judges are actually saying it is going to take a lot of time to be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt that actually President Tinubu actually forged certificates and things like that. And given the fact that the court actually has a 180-day limit to be able to dispel the cases before it remains to be seen if it is possible for Atiku to be able to prove his case beyond reasonable doubt, given the time constraint, and things like that. Although, his lawyer, actually argued that the law actually still allows, the Supreme Court to actually, the Supreme Court is not time bound, because, the issue of 180 days limit and things like that is only applicable to lower court, the appeal court and the court of first instance and things like that. This is the issue. And so these are some of the contentious issues and things like that. So for us as laymen and of course as Nigerians, it remains to be seen if it is possible for the court to accept fresh evidences which were not part of the previous argument of Atiku and his lawyers, number one. And then number two, it remains to be seen if a deposition that was made in the United States is admissible in a country that is actually a Commonwealth country and things like that. So the issues are there. It remains to be seen what the court eventually decides at the end of the day. But like many Nigerians will say, it is like Atiku Abubakar is hell-bent on giving President Tinubu a bumpy ride. But, by insisting on these arguments, well, it is within his legal rights to do that. But then it appears that he's going to have a serious hurdle to cross.
Yes. Well, let's just see. You see, that one has to do with people. We may have to invite a lot of other people who are professional in that.
In this issue, definitely.
Though we have looked at this issue on and on, but as we having development towards that, probably we will again find a way of getting to have professionals.
Definitely.
But in 3 minutes, Mr. Shoaib, let's see this. This one says, a man, Malam Umar Tasiu, has been whipped to death by his former in-laws in Mina, Niger State. It's a very sad one here.
Definitely.
This one has to do with every common Nigerians.
Definitely could be.
So it has to do with family.
Very tragic, definitely.
It's a sad one. And our heart goes to the family of the deceased at this moment. So what are we for that?
In the next few minutes. Well, could be like you did say, it's a tragic one, isn't it? And I think that this practice of actually always taking the law into our hands is something that we should actually be jettisoned, because this is not a banana republic. It's a civilized society with a system of law and a system of do's and don'ts and things like that. It's not right for people to always want to take the laws into their hands. No matter how aggrieved you are, there are always, a civilized, ways of channeling grievances and things like that. Now, according to the story, we stumbled on, Malam Umar Tasiu was married to a certain lady. At the point in time, the marriage actually began to hit the rocks, and then, they actually had to quit the marriage, right? They got divorced and things like that. So the woman, his ex-wife, was actually living, or he is actually living, with her parents, alongside his children. So at some point in time, he decided to go see the children, at their mother's house, who also is actually staying, with her father and things like that. And so upon getting there, I don't know what actually happened. And of course, the story itself did not mention what actually transpired at his ex-in-laws, house. But all of a sudden, his ex-in-laws and her siblings decided to descend on him. Actually, what happened was that they actually tied him to, something and actually began to whip him until he actually passed out. And then upon noticing that he actually passed out, they decided to take him to hospital. And then at the hospital, he actually gave up the ghost before anything could be done to actually save him and things like that. So this is the story in a nutshell. But we actually say that that is highly condemnable. Here could be we have narrated stories upon stories of situations where some husbands have killed their wives, some wives have killed their husbands, police officers shooting their colleagues to death and things like that. All of these are instances of extrajudicial killings and taking the laws into our hands and things like that. It's not supposed to obtain in a civilized society in the 21st century and things like that. But of course, happily, the culprit has actually, the culprits have been arrested by the police, and investigations, are still ongoing. And we hope that at the end of the day, justice will be served.
Yes, of course. No matter what it is, Doro, it's good to have you in. And so at this point, our listener and our viewer, we have come to that moment with which we go on a very short break. I want you to stay tuned because we'll be right back.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was
The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, wishes to draw the attention of the public to the worrisome increase in the activities of illegal financial operators, IFOs, which threaten public trust and the stability of the Nigerian financial system. The FSRCC and NBC hereby advises the general public to refrain from dealing with unlicensed financial operators who deceive individuals with unrealistically high investment returns. Make sure to verify the licensing status of such companies and schemes on this website. To report any suspicions of illicit financial activities, call 0700 225 5226, 0800 225 5226, or +234 817 665 6273. Let's work together to uphold the integrity of Nigeria's financial system. Announcer, FSRCC.
Pay attention, it starts from the foundation. Everybody needs somebody. You turn a blind eye and care nothing less. Say it's just business, all about the money. You are so unbothered as long as they pay. Say it's just business, all about the money. You know they're on a fast lane, but you've got business to run. So you look away the other way.
It concerns you. It kill law, it kill dreams. It land people for jail. War against drug abuse.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was your... Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your...
So much and so happy knowing fully well that you are still, tuned to Unity 93.3 FM and TV this lovely Tuesday morning, the 24th of October 2023. Beatrice Adamoiji remains my name and anchor of Unity Trend this morning. And in the studio, it's been Mr. Shabu Doro, in-house analyst and a political scientist. He's still in the studio, and together we take up this very segment. And so, I want you to know that for every action and in actions there are implications, and today we'll be looking at a topic that has to do with the implications for political parties as regarding the recent appeal court judgments, and so. But before we set on the topic and discuss it at length, why don't we look at issues surrounding extrajudicial killings, not only in Jos or Plateau State, but of course in some other parts of the country. Let's see what is the reason. Why should an individual or group of individuals take the law into their hands just so to kill a fellow human being? And so, Shabudoro,
yes,
why do you think, for goodness sake, people would decide in a country with constitutions and laws like this, and people whom are saddled with the responsibility of taking care of such things, and then both decide to take law into their hands?
Yeah.
What on earth do you think would be the reason for this?
It's lawlessness. It's sheer lawlessness. Although there might be other factors. I mean, talking about this particular man who was said to have been beaten to death by his ex-in-laws and things like that. Well, I don't know, but sometimes it could have something to do with interfamily feuds or interfamily acrimony and things like that. It might just be one of those things. Probably it didn't end well between him and his wife, and something probably happened that his in-laws probably weren't comfortable with, and so we're probably looking for an opportunity to sort of settle scores with him and things like that. And so when he came to see his children in their house, they felt, look, this is an opportunity now to actually avenge ourselves on him. He might have treated their daughter in a way that they felt was not actually right, and so they were looking for an opportunity to sort of avenge themselves on him and things like that. It might just be one of those issues. This is the issue. We do know, of course, we do know that there are instances of domestic abuses, and things like that, where men actually subject their wives to some sort of inhumane treatment and things like that. Those sorts of instances actually do abound, and all of that. So nobody knows what might just have actually transpired between this woman and her ex-husband and all of that. But whatever the issue might be or might have been, I feel that resulting to, well, I'm sure they probably didn't envisage the man's death as a result of their action. But of course, you should also know what is likely to happen when you decide to tie a man and subject him to such a treatment. You understand? Some people are not physically healthy, even though they may not actually appear so. This is the issue. So such a situation could just make people more susceptible. This is the issue. Somebody can just actually drop dead with just a blow or two. These are things that can actually happen. This is the issue. So you never can tell what what people's health statuses might actually be, as at the time you're considering meting out certain sort of treatments to them and things like that.
And Mr. Shaibu, again, like you said, probably they really didn't want to have the story end by
this
him
way.
being yes, or because you could also see from their action, trying to also rescue, taking him by themselves to the hospital. It shows they really didn't, want, to have such the situation end this way.
He wasn't actually. I think we mistook that. He wasn't actually. We were mistaken on that. I did mention that, but that was not the story. He was not taken to hospital by the culprits themselves.
All right.
You understand? He was taken to hospital by the crime department, who actually got to know about the situation and decided to intervene immediately.
Well, but with that again, most of the people involved in such situations, in time, they would have to say, okay, it wasn't my plan. I didn't know he was going to die. I didn't know she was going to die.
And all of that.
Now, talking about the woman who killed her fellow, wives. In Bauchi, somewhere in Bauchi.
State,
later on, story spread around. The woman trying to say, no,
this wasn't my intention.
No, it wasn't her intention. She was just in there to correct the child, feeling okay at this age. Probably she's grown up enough to have known that this is not good to do, and then just to correct her, and then suddenly she fell sick, taken to the hospital, and she died there.
Well, could be. I think two wrongs can always not make a right.
Yes,
that's what we do know. And if you want to correct a mistake, there are ways of doing that, right? There are actually always good ways. Now, you take, for example, just a few days ago, we also stumbled on the story of a boy, a student somewhere, it was in Bauchi, or somewhere in Zaria, who was also said to have been killed, through, corporal punishment by the principal of his school, the vice principal, and even, some prefect. This is the story. So probably the boy was guilty of some misdemeanor, and then he was arraigned before the school. He was actually arraigned before the students during assembly, and then subjected to punishment. I do understand that he was subjected to as many as 100 or over 100 strokes, of the cane and things like that. And then, still not satisfied, the principal and his vice decided to still take the boy back to, their office, where they continued to, met out punishment to the boy and things like that. And then eventually the boy actually gave up the ghost. This is the issue. I do understand that even, when it was obvious that something, atrocious could actually happen, the principal and the vice did not actually give up. They continued to actually whip this boy until he actually, gave up the ghost. This is the issue. And so these are the sort of situations we have been contending with in this country.
In most cases, people will come to now blame the devil. And when you ask them, they say it's the devil.
And so where is the devil? Somebody called, some time ago here to say, if we keep saying it is the devil, where is the devil? And we do understand, even from scriptures, that on the day of the judgment, the devil will say, no, I wasn't there. You never saw me. So don't blame me. Blame yourself. So actually, this is the issue. So at the end of the day, I think, even when you talk about the devil, I think the devil only is able to act if you actually give him some space. This is the issue. So I think people should, actually check, at their consciences when they consider embarking on certain actions.
No matter what, it's still not an excuse.
It's not an excuse.
You never mean it. It's definitely not an excuse. So let's find most appropriate way with which we can punish offenders, and then if you can do it yourself, you hand it over, because there are authorities, there are people whom this is their primary responsibility. They know they are professionals. They know how best to handle situations. So instead of just wanting to do it yourself, only to discover
that you are putting yourself in more trouble.
Yes, so thank you very much for this. At this point, our listener and our viewer, it's time for us to begin to look at the topic for this very segment. This is because our guest is already seated in the studio. He's a friend of Unity 93.3 FM and TV, and of course he's a friend to most of our listeners and our viewers. And at this point, the topic has this to do. It says appeal court's judgment, implications for political parties. That's what we'll be looking at this morning. You may want to be a part of it, so stay tuned. But of course, I have in the studio as guest this lovely Tuesday morning, Barrister Buhari Ibrahim Michael, legal practitioner, lecturer, law faculty, Police Academy, Wudil, I want to believe, in Kano. He's in the studio. And so I'll let him say good morning to our listener and our viewer.
Good morning, respected listeners. Good morning, our uncles and my bosses on the studio.
All right, thank you so much.
What is the punishment for coming late to the studio? And as far as the 1999 Constitution is concerned,
you cannot be punished for double jeopardy.
All right.
So that's another technical term to deceive us, isn't it?
Sure.
It's not deception, actually.
Lawyers always do that. They always hide behind technicalities to.
There are technicalities. They don't bring it on board at the moment.
Yes.
They leave it until there's an issue. Then they now bring it to defend.
Well, I don't know what
we always have to defend ourselves.
There are always many ways to do that.
God forbid that day when a lawyer will lack a defense for himself and his clients.
Okay, well then, maybe later on you will tell us what double jeopardy actually means.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome to the studio, sir.
You're most welcome, sir.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, a barrister, it's good to have you already.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for honoring our invitations.
Thank you.
Yes, at this point, recently we have received announcements for what I would not love to qualify it either as fortunate or unfortunate. But of course, let me just go neutral and say the appeal court judgment, which have some, individuals, politicians, being asked to, to withdraw their position as it is, and then having to go conduct elections in 90 days, and this is one big one, especially for us on the plateau. And so, what do you make of the appeal court judgment sacking some PDP lawmakers?
Once again, good morning. You all know that following the general elections conducted earlier this year, there was cases of petitions filed by aggrieved parties, like in respect of Plateau North and Jos North Basa constituency, and in fact other constituencies. Virtually all the contested elections were challenged at the tribunal on one single ground, which cuts across all petitions, that the PDP has no structure, it has no capacity to nominate and sponsor candidates in the general elections, on the grounds that it failed to comply with the various judgments given by the High Court, directing it to go and conduct
fresh Congress,
valid Congress that will usher in their candidates. Now, in respect of these two cases just delivered, the judgment at the tribunal was that PDP had a valid structure. That was the holding of the tribunal, and that it has conducted what the tribunal called a refreshed primaries or something like that. And aggrieved by the judgment of the tribunal, the Labour Party candidates as well as other candidates in respect of the Senate, Plateau North, went to an appeal to the Court of Appeal. So also the PRP candidates and other candidates in respect of Basa Jos North Federal constituency, they all went to an appeal, and we have all had the judgment, and the judgment of the court was that PDP has failed to comply with the court order directing it to go and conduct primaries and submit their names to INEC. And in consequence,
to conduct a fresh Congress.
And in consequence of that, the election was nullified, meaning that PDP has no structure, and the next person who scored the highest votes ordinarily should have been declared winner of the election, PDP having been excluded. However, in the wisdom of the court, of the Court of Appeal, it directed that fresh elections should be conducted
in the form of a rerun.
So this is the summary of what transpired. But the issues have arisen, particularly issue of why should the court, that's the Court of Appeal, order for a rerun instead of declaring the second runner-up as the winner.
As was done in 2021.
And what have you. Now, ordinarily, what transpired was, the court was maybe due to the nature of the work and a lot of things at their hand, that are the judges, they decided that, okay, we won't give detailed judgment. It will take them like 4 or 5 hours reading. We will know how it is.
Definitely.
So, but by law and by procedure, they have the power to condense the judgment and give a summary. To say, okay, this is our finding and this is our judgment. All other reasonings, our reasons for arriving at this decision and what have you, will be found in the written judgment.
The comprehensive copy
of the judgment. So unfortunately for most of us, and indeed the public, we couldn't have an informed reason. That's we couldn't hear from the judge, from the justices stating that they arrive at this decision because of this, because of that, until a copy of the judgment is obtained and someone goes through. But by way of analysis, if everybody is giving his own version of the analysis, because up to this moment I couldn't lay my hand on the copy of the judgment. I don't know, maybe others might have gotten it, but it's very hard. It's very hard that some people have gotten it. So, but looking at the particular pronouncement of the court, issues have arisen. One of those issues that have arisen is whether or not the court was right to have ordered for a rerun instead of
declaring the second
runner-up as
winner,
the winner
automatically.
Yes. Now, I looked at section 162 of the Electoral Act, and with the permission, let me just read it for our hearing.
Yes.
It will help us.
Yes.
Now, this particular section has given room where runs may be ordered. It has also given rooms where candidates will just be declared as winner.
Okay, that promises to be an interesting one, knowing that you are getting ready to even read it, so we can get it as a tease.
Yes.
Yeah, we would love to hear that if it's ready.
Okay, good. Section 136. Sorry, 136 of 1. It says, subject to the to subsections 2 and 3, if the tribunal or the court, as the case may be, that's the tribunal or the court of appeal, as the case may be, determines that a candidate who was returned as elected was not validly elected on any ground. We have 3 grounds of petition. On any ground, the tribunal or court shall nullify the election and order the commission to conduct a fresh election not later than 90 days after the decision. Now, look at it. By this subsection 1, the court is given powers to order for a rerun within 90 days. However, it says subject to subsection 2 and 3, meaning this section cannot apply where subsections 2 and 3 would apply. Yes, and it says subsection 2 says where an election tribunal or court nullifies an election on the ground that the person who obtained the highest votes at the election was not qualified to contest the election, was not qualified, and that was the decision of the court.
Yes.
The election tribunal or court shall declare the person with the second highest number of valid vote cast at the election who satisfies the requirement of the Constitution and this act as duly elected. Now, even from this subsection 2, it shows that what the court ought to do in the circumstance is to declare the second runner-up. That's the person with the second highest votes. If you exclude the other party.
Yes.
Provided he satisfied the constitutional requirements as to academic qualification and what have you. So, and in this case, unfortunately for us, this court, that's the Court of Appeal, is the last court that will hear this matter. No appeal goes to the Supreme Court in respect of these cases.
Yes.
So whatever the way is, the pronouncement of the court stands. However, with all due respect, we tend to imagine why the court decides to overlook subsection 2 and rely on subsection 1. But we have to look at the judgment of the court first before we know the reasoning. Now, yes, speculatively, looking at the gap between the PDP candidate and the Labour Party candidate in respect of the Senate, you see there is a gap of over or about 50,000 votes. So that gap of 50,000 votes maybe prompted the court in its own wisdom to say, okay, since this particular candidate is not disqualified on ground of invalid votes, yes, meaning that his votes honorably are intact, except for his lack of structure of his party. So the court in its own wisdom made me say, okay, now that declaring the second runner-up may not be
the best thing to do.
May not be the choice of the constituents,
of
the people of this 6 local governments, looking at the margin. So maybe that is why it says, okay, now go back. Let the people express their will.
And that may seem to make some sense, Barrister, because I remember the justice also saying, the constituents actually have a right to determine.
That's in respect of Basa.
Yes. I remember the.
So you see, judgments are not delivered only based on law, what the law says, but also on jurisprudence.
Okay. What is jurisprudence?
Public interest. The judge has his philosophy to look at, okay, what will serve the best interest of the people,
even if it is not, expressly written
in the law.
The law books.
Yes, he has the powers to give a liberal interpretation of the law and do his reasoning.
But that does not means, even if it means perversing justice.
Justice is relative. We have legal justice. Yes, certainly. Legal justice, you go strictly by the law.
Right.
And at times, legal justice may lead to public injustice, where the law says it is this, but
the public
applying the law might affect the public interest and what have you. So I believe, and in all, I respect the justices. I think this is why they have gone the way they have gone.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. We don't have much time. And would you just help us get to know Eve to establish if, well, by your explanation, it's obvious that PDP is not participating in the rerun, is it?
Okay.
Because that's been controversial.
Very
very controversial.
Yes. Now let's look at it. If you are trying to analyze a particular thing, you have to do it holistically. Don't look at it from one side. Now the court says PDP has no structure because it has disobeyed court order in carrying out its primary elections and what have you. Therefore, it doesn't have the locus, it doesn't have the capacity to nominate and sponsor a candidate. And now, in the final analysis of the judgment, the court says all political parties are to participate, all registered political parties are to participate
in the rerun.
Now, look at it this way. If PDP lacks structure, it doesn't have the legal backing to participate in the preceding election, and there is a procedure by which parties are to nominate their candidates and submit names. Now, can PDP now turn around and come and do that within this short time?
In 90 days. It's no longer 90 days from now.
Are there things the PDP will have to do before actually?
No, assuming they want to comply with the judgment, they might say, okay, let's go and comply with the judgments of the High Court and conduct congresses and submit names. Do they have that
luxury of time?
Definitely no.
Even the provision of the law, does it allow in 90 days? You do this?
You can't do that within 90 days. You can't do that within 90 days. And the saying that all registered political parties is technical.
Okay.
And it's very, very ambiguous with due respect. The court will have gone extra mile and say, okay, all registered political parties, including PDP.
Then we can understand that the PDP is part of it.
PDP is part of it. Or excluding
the PDP.
So now it's a matter of plus and minus. But what I think there is a solution to this. INEC, being an umpire, or even PDP, being an interested party, they can rush to court. That particular court and say, okay, my lords, we need further interpretation
of this
particular pronouncement. Are we participating? If yes, fine. That's the question that will now come forward is, can the Court of Appeal now, sitting on this matter, now rectify what PDP has failed to do? Can it? Definitely it cannot. The PDP will have to comply with the order before any other thing. And if it says, okay, PDP will participate in the elections, then it means the above pronouncement that it has no structure, with due respect, is useless.
So it should not even have been done in the first place.
In the first place, yes.
So the court will then actually be sort of, contradicting itself.
Yeah, so it will look somehow. You say, I have not done a right bet. Let me come and eat again. That is not possible. So there is need for further interpretation. And I still maintain that there is further need for us to have a comprehensive copy of the judgment. That will help us to know where the court is going. And as I told you earlier, you cannot just pick statements and make interpretation out of it. It has to be a comprehensive thing.
Okay, yes. Very quickly, we just have but 3 minutes. Maybe in 2 minutes you would help us understand, because we know also that the candidate of the People's Redemption Party challenged the victory of our Musa Aga, the PDP, so to say. Okay, now, how right was that? And what do you have to say around it, so that we get to know if we are participating or not?
No, definitely, PRP has as a candidate has the right to challenge whatever it feels that he has been shortchanged or something like that. And he lost at the tribunal and won at the appeal. And there is nothing stopping him or stopping the party from participating in the elections.
All right. Oh, that's lovely. Okay. What do you have to say as regards how public, the people, should behave in terms of this, looking at this judgment? Because as a people, we really need peace.
Sure,
we just want that to be sustained.
Now, you see, I always tell people, particularly young men like me. I'm a young man, not like
apparently
not like Doro.
No, Doro is not.
Well, that's something for another day. And the appeal court might actually decide on that.
We should know that our life, our relationships is beyond politics.
Yes.
Politicians at the top do engage themselves. They look at their interests, not personalities. You may see them quarreling, but deep down, when their interest comes, you see them together.
Yes.
If there is any problem, any chaos, those people will not suffer. It is we, the masses,
that always
you and I are on the street. We'll be the ones not to go for our walks. We'll be the ones to be locked, and if we are alive. So I always call on us to maintain peace. Don't fight for anybody. If any politicians call you that, okay, let's foment trouble because this and that, tell him, okay, honorable, let's go together. You will be in front, I will be at the back. You'll be here, your children will follow, your relatives will follow. I will be at the extreme end, so that if you people are killed, I can run home.
Which we know is not
definitely they will not do it.
It's not
so please, let's give peace a chance, and politics will come and go, and we will continue to live together.
And then we also await what INEC will eventually decide as far as the PDP's participation or not is actually fun. I'm sure the INEC has its own legal department to also look at this issue.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. It's good to know if as PDP we are participating, if as Labour Party we are participating, and even if as PRP we are participating. And so thank you. Just stay tuned. We're going to short break. We'll be right back, and it's going to be your segment. Stay tuned.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion?
I was the head boy in my primary school, senior prefect and best graduating student in my secondary school, but drug abuse almost ruined my life.
I was on an average of 2 grams of cocaine per day.
I was taking 8 ampoules of pentazosine daily.
European shisha, cocaine.
I became a user, a dealer, and a gangster.
I saw other users drowning. I knew I didn't want to be like them, but I was already trapped.
My family disowned me.
My employment was terminated.
I sold my car, sold my house. I'll go out well-dressed and return shoeless, shirtless in exchange for drugs.
I was seeing things that were not real, and I once stabbed myself because I felt something crawling under my skin.
I contacted NDLEA and started therapy.
I spent 3 months in therapy.
I spent 8 months.
It's easy to relapse, but your mind has to be stronger than the cravings.
Drugs does not love you. You are not the one using drugs. Drugs are the one using you. Say no to drug abuse.
Mr. Politician, to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me think.
For staying tuned to Unity 93.3 FM and TV, Beatrice Adamuiji remains my name. Remember, sustainable human development and economic growth is intricately intertwined with peace. You may want to take it. Don't leave it. Is a piece there from me this lovely Tuesday morning. And it's Unity Trend in case you're just tuning on. And it's Unity 93.3 FM. And of course, we've been talking around issues that has to do with implications for actions and inactions. Looking at the recent Court of Appeal judgment. Okay, at this point, you may want to be a part of the conversations. The studio line remains 070-3235-3315. And if you want to send an SMS, you can do that on 080-478-9999, 0808-478-9999 for SMS. And again, you can go on our Facebook platform and you go Unity Radio FM/TV. Just drop your comments, we read them at the appropriate time. And thank you so much. Barrister Michael is in the studio. We just let him cap up on what else he would love to say as regarding our topic today. In 2 minutes, I apologize. And just after that, I'll begin to pick your calls. Barrister.
On this particular topic, I call on all parties, including the public.
Yes.
Let's calm down. Let's read these judgments. Digest them. And whether we like it or not, elections must hold. The rerun must hold because the Court of Appeal decision in this respect is final.
It's final.
People should get set, come out en masse and vote for candidates of your choice. If you love PDP, if it is participating, come and vote for it. If you love PRP, if it is participating, come and vote for it.
And if
it
is
is APC, if it is Labour Party that you will, anyone, come and come and choose your best candidate and do that peacefully.
All right.
Barrister, sir, in just a minute, there are other appeals pending before the Court of Appeal, on which verdicts are still being awaited.
Sure.
And the public have, members of the public have been actually sort of trying to foresee what is likely to happen with regards to those pending cases, on the basis of, Sunday's judgment of the appeal court. Do you see this as being instrumental? Is this likely to set the tone for, the other, appeals?
Each and every particular case is on its own. Though there may be similarities, but there may be particular situations where it is established at the tribunal that there was no structure, and that might not have been established in another case. So you cannot automatically say that what transpired here in A must transpire in B. No, we have seen it at the tribunal level, where a particular panel goes this way, and a particular panel goes this way. Even within a particular panel, there may be dissenting judgment. A particular judge may view it from this angle, and the other judge may view it from another angle. That is law for you. And each and everyone will have reasons to back up his decisions.
Yes.
So we cannot automatically say because it is A, it must be A. Law is not mathematics.
Yes. It's not that predictable.
It is not predictable. You may not know what will transpire in other cases.
Oh, thank you very much, Barrister. At this point, let's begin to pick our calls. But I just want to beg one last time that if you call us, there is no need to confront our guest or even any member of Unity 93.3 FM. But let's do the needful. Let's stick to the rules of the game, even as you call us. And then, of course, let's promote peace. That's what we do here. Thank you very much. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning, Kulbi. Thank you very much. It's good to have you.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you very much. It's good to have you.
Yeah, Mohammed calling from the first name Street.
Okay, Mohammed, you have a minute.
Good morning, Mr. Duru, and good morning to the barrister.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I want to thank the barrister. If all have missed this program today, I will not forgive myself. Because the day the court rule, I'm in a state of confusion.
All right.
And some people know how to do it. I'm going to barista clarify.
All right.
Almost everything. My question to the barista is, how the barista said that the court rules, the court do not rely on only the constitution to rule. It also rules based on people's opinion, or there is a word that you call, I cannot remember.
Yes. I think the barista gets it.
The barista is which one precedes. That in this case, if there is a confusion in the ruling,
yes. Thank you.
The people's opinion precedes the constitution.
All right.
That's my question to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please just stay tuned. Barrister will respond in due time. 07032353315 is the line. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Thank you very much. It's good to have you. Who is on the line? Yusuf? Hello? Okay, we lost him. 07032353315. Hello, good morning. Please, you may need to stay away from your radio set so that it doesn't interfere with our signals. Please. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Thank you very much, sir.
This is Jude Sad from Mr. Joshua.
Once again, it's good to have you, Mr. Jude Sad. Please go on.
My brother, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
For this privilege. And the barrister, hard work barrister said.
All right.
But in the judgment, for all of us, like me, are murmuring for taking judgment on Sunday. When people are in the church, I have never had this kind of judgment before. On Sunday, passing judgment on Sunday. Because I believe from Monday to Friday, is the day that court normally sit.
Normally, okay.
Well, the barrister will explain that later.
All right, thank you.
And let me come by concluding that yesterday with some of my friends at Mazan Jiya, they are telling me that PDP will not participate. But I tell them, when they try to be listening to news, they have not concluded that PDP will not participate.
Oh, will or will not, yeah.
They said that PDP should go and put their house in order. They will be in the ballot.
Okay.
But you two already explained that the law is contradicted because if they say PDP don't have structure, PDP don't supposed to be in ballot. But by this they say to the judgment,
yes,
PDP still have time, but the judge, where they say that party maybe 3 months is short for them to have another congress or to put another expo. But they can do the magic and do it and be in the ballot.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Jude, sir. Okay, it's an angle there. You may want to respond later on, please. Just stay tuned. Barrister is all here. Okay. Hello, good morning. Okay. Let me listen.
Hello,
thank you very much. Who is with us this morning?
This is Justice Toleranto.
Okay, from Laranto. Okay, it's good to have you. Please go on in a minute.
Thank you, sir. I want to just make a recommendation on the MISALI issue then.
Okay, please go on in a minute.
You know, I've heard so many people saying that INEC has every right to decide on who they want to use.
Okay.
And Nigerians are not disputing that. So the same INEC who told Nigerians, who convinced Nigerians that this election is going to transmit electrically. And even I remember, I watched President Docalo, one of the national TV. I'm doing that part. As a state, I remove all shame for the fact as a former governor of the state. You say it's unconstitutional that there is no network there.
All right.
The thing will not work.
Okay.
And let's say no, that it's not like other networks. Everywhere.
All right.
And they are showing Nigerians going to work. Even some Nigerians who are in the grandparents.
All right.
So they are trying to go from INEC. They came up to Nigeria for people that they are going to be free and fair. And so what happened then?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling. Okay. very brilliant there. When our viewer and our listener call, you get to see an angle that probably
you never saw. Yeah.
You never saw, and so very intelligent there. So, hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Oh, thank you. Who is on the line?
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Sadiq Umar. I'm calling from PC and T Junction.
Sadiq Umar, please go on in a minute.
Yes, I will comment your guest. He has spoken very, very well, and he has enlightened us more about the issue of this court judgment.
Thank you.
But actually, like we are not laymen, we do not understand this. But I want to ask your guest some question. What is the constitution the court used in the national judgment? Because you know that we have same court of structure when the court said that Peter Obi and Atiku, they don't have right to challenge the structure of the Tinubu, which is the APC. And what is the difference between that one and that of this PDP? And the second question is that in the tribunal for the Court of Appeal, we have seen that the court has made their judgment. What is the stand of this judgment? What is the stand of that judgment that has been made in the tribunal? And what is why is it that it is not like a true one to that of the Court of Appeal? And lastly, I want to call on political parties. As a political party, I think we have to have one, let's say, goal that we have to achieve. And if we have an internal problem, and in that internal problem, we have people that have been injected with the spirit of not having, let's say, solution.
Yes.
That's to tell you that we have a big problem.
All right.
So I think parties have to solve it out so that we can get it right. And if our constitution can be changed, if we have individual participation in our election, I think it's a good one. Because political parties damage a lot when it comes to democracy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Talking about if an individual can sponsor himself instead of having to go through it.
I think his question is why the conflict in decisions between the tribunal and the appeal.
Yes, that's
to make
another
it
one.
clearer to the barrister in case he probably.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Hello. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
Thank you. It's good to have you already.
I'm Abu from Muryar.
All right. Go on in a minute.
To make a comment on what the professor said yesterday, please. As regards to Nigerians, we are always trying to do what is not we're not capable of doing.
Right.
I'm a school administrator, but I support what the professor said yesterday.
Okay.
If you have your child, don't take your child to a school where you beg before you pay fees. If you cannot afford it, take it to the one you can afford.
Okay.
If you are living in a house whereby you cannot afford to be, you have to be begging. Look for a cheaper one. This is the problem of Nigeria. I so much appreciate the professor yesterday.
Okay.
And I have tried to call yesterday, but unfortunately I couldn't.
But thank God you called today. Thank God you called today. All right, I think, he just, yes, we couldn't have all of the time yesterday, just like every other day. Okay, when we will let Doro to read some of the comments on Facebook. Hello, good morning.
Yes.
Your name, please.
Okay, my name is Maxwell from City Lodge Hotel in Jos.
Oh, City Lodge Hotel in Jos. You're welcome.
Yes, I think I am much comfortable with the explanation of this barrister.
You're welcome.
Because on the day of this judgment, when this judgment was given, there were a lot of speculation, there were a lot of confusion. And even some lawyers, I listened to some of his elected colleagues, with other sister radio stations.
Yes.
But I didn't get the view. I was not comfortable. I was not okay with their explanation. But with this explanation, I got him right.
Thank you.
But I also want to ask, for instance, this is my question. For instance, if the CDC is not going to participate, can the barrister also assess a little bit what will also be the test of the governorship sufficient appeal court?
Thank you.
The governorship issue ends within the Supreme Court, but can you a little bit assess if, for instance, the PDP may not participate in the run of this election. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maxwell from City Lodge Hotel. It's been a very long time hearing from Maxwell. He has always been there, but for a while. Thank God that you are back with us on Unity 93.3 FM. Probably he's been trying, but never have, gotten us online. Hello, good morning. Hello? We barely can hear you. Yes, please go on in a minute. Your name?
My name is Azitema. I'm calling from Kenya.
Okay, Azi, please, you have a minute. Go on, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go on.
I'm asking the
All right.
I want to address the story of this country.
Oh my, we hardly can get you on. As I tell you may need to call us back. At this point, please, let's just see what we have on our Facebook page. Please, Mr. Doro.
Yes, from Anas Bai says, long life Unity FM and the presenters. Thank you. Aminu Abba, good morning this morning. God help you and continue. Good job. And continue the good job. Thank you. Ashok Bagun Francis, good morning, gentlemen. It's another day today, given to us freely by God.
Yes.
You are existing not only yourself, but to serve others. Please stop promoting illegality and others where there is no examinations. Politics has no season in Nigeria, where the poor are insulting, beating the drums, and dancing on behalf of the rich just because of stomach infrastructure. Very unfortunate incident. Thank you. Gadu Musa Ibrahim says, good morning. Keep making us proud. Thank you. Muhammad Tajuddin says, good morning, gentlemen in the studio. In my opinion, the controversy about whether the PDP will participate in the rerun election or not is from the court itself. Why will the court mention all parties if they have already confirmed that the PDP has no valid structure in Plateau State? I think the main challengers must go back to court for further clarification. Muhammad Tajuddin from Narubuta, thank you. And this is Langarba. He says, thank you for the news. He always says the same thing every day. Thank you for the news.
Yes.
Yeah, I think at the moment this is what we have.
Okay, I have this one. An SMS says, good morning, Kobe, Doro, and the barrister. We really appreciate Unity FM. Let's come together. Live is for living. Life is for living. Plateau first. Nigeria is greater than all of us. God bless Nigeria and Nigerians. Hassan Garba, Hassan G, thank you so much. And this one, he's saying, good morning, gentlemen and barrister. Thank God Almighty. We have this from the barrister. I also learned if you obey court order, you have nothing to regret. And he says, do make yo. You will see my kill. Thank you all. Ismail is just using your name as that my kill. So do my kill, you will see my kill. All right, thank you.
Yeah, and we have my kill in the house.
All right, and we have my kill as a guest today. Let's pick one or two more, and then we give you the whole time. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kudu.
Oh, thank you to have you. Amen already.
Thank you very much, and the guest in the studio.
Thank you.
Oh, continue to bless you.
Amen.
You do like take this morning. It's just for let us just embrace the part of it.
Yes.
Because irrespective of whatever, this court order, this election matter that has become a controversy after election.
Yes.
It's just confusing. And it's disturbing. And it's causing a lot of distraction with the hardship that Nigerians are going through. So let us just look at it. You see, politicians, they are used to constantly moving from one party to the other, doing this. Let us just embrace the part of it.
All right.
Let's allow the court to go. You understand? So I just use this medium to just blame INEC. So how will someone know how to structure and you allow us to come and conduct an election? After which people will be standing under the sun, that's just the major thing that the top move. It's like a form of disenfranchising the people.
All right.
I pray God will keep us peace in the Plateau and in Nigeria.
Amen.
Whatever would have happened, let's embrace the part of peace. Because all the political parties are all Nigerians.
Yes.
And we must have the country before we can even have any argument. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Deomi. And on this note, let's just give the barrister all of this time. The time is not even enough because it's just like 5 minutes. Please.
Okay, let me quickly respond to the first question raised by Mohammed. He asks whether the court should act on the constitution or on public opinion. Interest.
Yes.
The constitution is the ground norm that governs each and every action of courts. If I say courts, I mean every court. It derives its powers from the constitution, and whatever it must do must be in agreement with the constitution. And in fact, indeed, in this particular case, the Electoral Act is the guide. However, even the court has a discretion to look at public interest. Public interest does not mean public opinion. It doesn't mean public opinion. Public opinion is different entirely from public interest. Well, when we say public interest, in this case, we mean what will be the best interest of justice.
Everyone.
Yes, what will be the best interest that will protect the Constitution, the Electoral Act, and all other laws governing the election process. So it's a combination of both. The court will have to look at the law and then look at the public interest and then do what in his opinion will serve the best interest of justice. Yes, very well.
All right, sir.
So, and touching on Mr. Jude, he asks, why should the court sit on a Sunday? Yes, ordinarily he has the right to
ask,
make a complaint because it is not ordinary.
Maybe, yes.
Yes, but election matters, we call them, they are sui generis. They are special cases on their own. In the sense that they have time limit within which to deliver judgment. Like the Court of Appeal, it has only 60 days from the date of judgment to it must deliver judgment within that time. And that time is elapsing on that Sunday. If the court did not deliver that judgment on that Sunday, it means any other thing is invalid. So the court is bound by the law to do that within that time. They couldn't do it on Friday, maybe due to the nature of the work. I have said earlier on that
judges are too busy.
They are too busy. In fact, I pity them. I sympathize with them on many occasions. I cannot be a judge. Yes, because you can imagine a person at the age of 60 and above handling, he has to read a file of this volume.
For 4 hours. Straining his eyes
his
to
brain,
read for 4 hours.
So you see, and the time limit is too short for them actually. And they have to do it. By
maybe the service conditions.
Yes. So the issue of sitting on Sunday is not an issue at all, my brother. If you look at it in ordinary cases, you exclude Sundays and public holidays when you are counting days.
Yes.
But in election matters, you include each and every day. If it means to sit on a Saturday, on the Christmas day, the court will have to sit. And they have sat on several occasions. We have seen where on Saturday you go to eat and come back
and go to court.
Yes, we have seen several on those situations.
Thank you.
So that was one issue.
Thank you.
And then once Sadiq raised an issue of why the differences, contradictions in judgment of the Court of Appeal and this particular one. Now, this is a long discussion. Issue of pre-election and post-election matters. Now, issue of internal party affairs and where there is a court judgment. The explanation I will make here is very brief.
Okay. In
cases where a political party within itself has an issue and no member of the party complained, an outsider cannot come and complain after an election.
All right.
It's a pre-election matter completely. But in the case of PDP, or this particular case, there was a subsisting court order. A subsisting court order. And that court order has not been complied with. So any person, whether from within or outside the party, can complain in that's pre-election or post-election. So that's the difference. If there is no court order directing PDP to do a particular thing, then it will have remained
a pre-election matter.
Yeah, an internal affairs within the party, and no outsider can complain about it. So this is my humble response.
All right. Okay. Okay. Well, that's the much we can take, and thank you so much, Barrister, for doing justice. Would you love to say just a word in order to promote peaceful coexistence, please?
Yes, please. As I've said earlier, politics comes and goes, but we still remain as brothers and sisters and as citizens of Nigeria. Let's give peace a chance. We must not fight for anybody. If anybody is willing to fight, let him come and lead. If he leads, we stay at the back and we run away. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Barrister, for being in the studio. Doro, you may have a word.
Yeah, well, let there be peace. Let there also be light. You know, if there is peace, there will be light, and then there will be life, right?